Captain Mike here, NC Charter Fishing, Carolina Fishing TV. We're going to head out of New Bern here and try the Topwater bite this morning for speckled trout and maybe even some stripering with them. And after that bite ends, if we get the bite on this morning, after that ends, we might move into the Neuse River a little further down into some of the creeks and try to mix it up this morning with some trout and redfish. So welcome aboard and look forward to having a good day today. We thought we saw some stripers breaking. I think it was alligator gars though. There's too many boats over in that area already. There's already over 20 boats back in there.
All right, folks, first thing we're going to do this morning, we're going to start out with some topwater baits. We're working around the big bridge here in New Bern. We're going to work down this shoreline and up around the bridge, up underneath the bridge. Try to catch a trout, maybe rockfish, something like that.
We're both throwing Ropolas this morning. 4-inch baits.
Oh, skitterwalks.
Skitterwalks.
I think we're flipping over bad.
They've got a little higher pitch sound than the Mirror Top Dogs. Usually trout really, they just clobber them. Trout or a little striper?
Trout.
Trout. That one hit a gulp.
Little.
I see 15 boats. I don't see one person hooked up. You know, that's a lot of casts in 15 boats. You think back there, we were one boat. We made about 30 casts each and might caught a trout. I mean, 15 boats, about 2 casts each, and there should be a trout. And that would be as slow as back there.
There's a lot of just underwater structure on that drop off.
You got 3 bridges that come together, or 3 bridges that come together here. There's a lot of structure down there. All the shrimp are coming out of this. Is also where the Neuse River splits off into the Trent. So it all comes together right here. There's the Neuse and there's the Trent comes together. The shrimp running down this shoreline and shad coming down here. The riprap bridges itself. It's just a really good place for fish to congregate, stripers and trout. But
we're going down the river there, bud.
Right up the shoreline there. We've got a little 2-3-inch menhaden here. Thousands and thousands of them just sprinkling all the way down the shore. From the shore out about 10 yards or so. Came off from the main river. There's a lot of boats out in the main river looking around and not much happening. Mike's got a fish on right there. We just come up on this shoreline and there's a lot of little shad breaking here. And for about 10 minutes from a distance, been watching a few fish break. I think it's a little puppy drum, isn't it?
Yeah, small little pup.
Little puppy drum there. We've been watching some fish break on these shad about every 5 minutes or so. We just eased over to check it out, see if it's any trout. It's like some little 14-15-inch puppy drum. It's one of our trout. He just exploded on that rapple. There's that fish you needed in that tournament you fished recently.
That's the fish you needed.
I looked back at that place one last time and said, Mike just popped a redfish right there. And we've seen some big explosions right here. I was like,
Could be a rockfish.
That might be a rockfish or a bass. Look like a different tail. Redfish.
Good, nice. The red I needed right there, buddy. That's him.
We stopped on a shoreline about a quarter mile away from here. And both Mike and I turned our head because there was a couple explosions that were so loud we could hear it from where we were at. Right here on the shoreline, so we came over here. Mike's first cast, and he put a small red in the boat, or undersized one, and there's one that's about 23, 24 inches, a little bigger. There he is. Mike hooked him up, or one of them anyway. I don't know if he got the big one out of it.
Don't worry about that, Rob. Leave it right there. Like
I got you. I see.
Leave it right there.
Alright. A little bigger than that one I had there.
Hey, you might be a keeper.
He's 18 inches or better.
Look at that. All day long.
It's tagged fish there.
Yeah, folks, that's a tagged fish.
Did you fish this creek at all the other day?
Yeah. The marine fisheries, I don't know if they're doing it much in the summertime, but in the I know in the fall and the spring and in the dead of winter they'll come up with a shocker boat, and they'll come through here and shock these trout and these reds and stripers, and they'll tag them. And of course they've tagged this one. What you do is you write down this number right here. This one's D68960. You could pull the tag out, or just clip it off actually real close here. But I'm going to leave this tag in this fish and releasing.
No, they do have some tags that $100 tags. The blue ones there, I believe you give them the information and they'll let you know where the fish was tagged at, when it was tagged, and then they give you like a hat, hat or something.
All the information's on here. But I'll just leave this tag in here, so maybe somebody else will catch him and we can follow up and see what, how much these fish are moving, or when he tagged them, and just record that on it.
It's a little bigger fish there, isn't it?
I don't need net. It's not that big. It's just decent. Trout. That's what was exploding on them baits right here.
Corky.
I think we found some trout here. It's about the third cast after I caught that last one. Got him hooked up here. There was like another decent trout. Yeah.
Decent, that's a nice trout there.
Yeah, nice trout. Oh, yeah. That's the good thing about fishing, in the rivers, New River, Neuse River, Pamlico, Tar, all the rivers. You have such a variety of fish that you catch. Look at that. So them baits showering right here, trout just come up right there and eat. Got all these little menhaden in here. We got trout busting all around the boat feeding on these menhaden. And we, caught drum almost within casting distance of these trout. So it's just a great fishery over here. It's a jerk retrieve. These fish, like all fish, they're going to hit it on the fall. I'm jerking it a couple times, stopping, and I'm watching it. You'll feel him hit it if he hits it. As soon as you see it hit the bottom, bring it back on the bottom. Jerk, jerk, let it fall to the bottom. There it is. As soon as it hits the bottom, sometimes right before it hits the bottom, I'll give it a couple more jerks and then wait for it to fall again. And that's all we're doing with these baits. Constant jerk retrieve. Jerk it up, let it fall to the bottom. That's where you're getting your strike at.
Ooh, there's another fish right there. That's a puplet. Not a trout. I thought it was a trout at first. He hit it and just ran off deep water. Pot-belly puppy. With a belly on him. Good God. Nice, clean, healthy looking fish. Mike's got one. There's a trout there, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll put that pole down on us here. You got a boat coming too. That fella's like a flounder.
Stand down.
Flounder.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know he's hooked. He's just swimming to the boat. Little guy. Little one. Neuse River, they got to be 14 inches. Not like back at the coast. 14 inches. He's only about 12 though. I don't know. Maybe it's not that big. I don't know. He's heavy though for being out there.
Nice flounder.
That's a nice flounder. We need a net on him. He's well over 2 pounds.
Think so?
Yeah. He's over 2 pounds for sure. Not bad. 2.5 pounds. They're fat. Look at the girth on that flounder up here. These creeks. His belly's full of those shad over there. This might be full of my Berkeley Gulp shad there. Little guy. Nah, that's a little pup or trout or something in it. Come to top too much. Trout.
And it's your slam. Nice trout.
He didn't even fight. That one came straight to the boat. Oh my God, look how fat he is. That's a nice trout right there.
He is full. And still
he is full. He's left some deposits for Mike to clean up later right here if you lay down the floor. Going on?
Yeah, Flounder.
Mike just...
Mike inshore slam.
Mike's inshore slam coming in. Did he come off?
He's a tiny one.
Tiny one. Mike just hooked a little flounder off that tree right there. Or down about 10 yards past it actually. This river style fishing, if it's the New River, Neuse River, it doesn't matter where it's at. This river style fishing, you're going to find yourself working the shorelines. And a lot of times there's down trees or overhanging trees like we got right there. And a lot of folks spend more time than anything retying, getting hung in trees and trying to get those baits out of trees. Mike's got a little technique he uses to pop his baits out of the trees, and most of the time it's effective. But he's got another one there.
That's a better flounder.
Power pole down there. But before you even have to worry about getting them in the trees, you know, trying to keep these baits out, we'll take and just pay close attention to that wind. Let's see what Mike's got here first. Here, is that real good?
Nah,
it's not that
small one.
It is. As I was trying to say before Mike hooked 2 fish in a row on me. You have to pay real close attention when you're working this structure along the shorelines, these overhanging trees and these down trees, stumps or anything. Pay close attention to the wind. You know, right now we've got a wind coming from our stern blowing toward my face here, side of my face, left side of these trees right here. So, you know, if I want to target the right-hand side of this tree in here, I can cast right at it. The wind's gonna, you know, it's gonna help me. It's gonna carry that bait onto the right. Mike's got 3 fish while I'm talking now.
Trout. Nice one. Put the old pink pogey on.
As I'm target casting to this tree, which I haven't caught a fish on yet, Mike's just caught 3 fish out in the middle of nowhere out here to the right.
Look, there's a shrimp whisker hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah, there is. Look at that.
He just fed on a shrimp in here. This is a whisker. The old pink pogey.
Stinky pink. So anyway, scratch what I said, because apparently you don't need to fish any structure, because Mike's catching these trout and flounders out in the middle of the bay here about 30 feet offshore. No, seriously though, if you are targeting, if you want to work around the down trees and limbs and stuff, use that wind to your advantage. Again, if I want to cast the right-hand side of this tree right here, I can aim right at the right edge of the tree, and the wind's going to carry it. It's going to land, you know, to the right of the tree. That's not a problem for most people. It's when they want to cast on the upwind side of any of the structure. So you really have to try to account for that wind.
Yeah, man.
If you don't feel comfortable with it, you know, when you're easing into a place like that, don't toss your $5, $6, $7 bait right into the tree the first cast. Take a shot, you know, well off the tree to start with, if that wind's blowing a little harder than you think it is, and until you get used to it, and just try to adjust for that breeze.
We got that wind kind of side to us here, and it's not really blowing real hard today. It's blowing about 8 mile an hour,
10 mile an hour. So,
you know, like I say, Jeff, if you want to cast to the left of that tree, and you want to get close to the tree, most people would think, well, let's just cast right where we want to cast. You don't do that. Right now we'd be casting towards that white sign.
And the big thing too is you
see the wind just blow right in there? Now that was at the white sign.
And take some of that arc off the line too, if you're trying to cast at all into the wind. If you're working into the wind at all, whether it's broadside, perpendicular like that, or straight into it, if you keep your cast direct, low, and straight, and it'll kind of hover in the wind, and you'll get more of a direct shot. And you know, if you're working with the wind's blowing this direction. If I want to hit that shoreline down there, use the wind to your advantage, and then shoot high. Shoot that thing high and arc it, like a basketball player shooting a ball. Use that wind to your advantage. If I did that, where Mike just shot his bait, that arc of that line, that wind would have carried it over and laid it in that tree, even if my bait did land in the right spot. So just pay attention to those little things. It'll save you a lot of time and a lot of money in baits. So
I'll show you one more technique that I show everybody that fishes with me. I mean, I can cast this spin reel up under docks, around any structure you really want to, as well as anybody can with a bait caster. How I cast it. A lot of people will grab their line and hold it up tight to the rod. You don't do that. I mean, that's, if you want to, you can, but that's not a good technique. Hold that line off like this, have that trigger finger ready. A lot of people I take on the charters, both of us, they'll cast into a place and you'll see them grab it with the left hand. I mean, there's no sense in it. What you do is, after you cast and that bait's going in there, if you want it to stop, just stick that finger out. It'll stop every time. That's your stopper. And you can do it precise. If I want to hit it right to that marsh, I can cast it real hard, stick that finger there, stops it right before it gets there.
A lot of times, regardless of how good your reel is, if you don't keep them lubricated real well, the bail sometimes doesn't want to trip on you. And if you had that high-dollar bait on there and you're using the reel to turn the reel handle and it's tripping that bail, if it doesn't trip it quick enough, then there goes your bait again. Not only that, but that's a whole lot more wear and tear on that whole mechanism there.
It's too hard to get that left hand around and click that over or to grab it.
I got a flounder. I believe there.
There's a flounder right there, isn't there?
This is a little bit of a heavy fish. That's a nice flounder here. Another one over 2 pounds here. Feels like it anyway. Might surprise me. Come to the boat and he's about 10 inches long and I'll be a little embarrassed. Feels like a good one, but
he's gonna flip.
No, he's not that big, but he's decent.
Nice keep.
Fish is about 1.5 pound flounder.
He's 16 inches. Everybody always asks us, you know, how you guys cast so far? I mean, I know they ask it every time, don't they, Jim?
Yeah, they
charter. And you'll see a lot of them try to throw this with one hand. Well, I fish every day, probably 6 days a week. And this is going to be as far as I can throw it with one hand. Right there. And that's fishing every day. Now, best way to cast, and if you really want to cast far, you have to use both hands and snap.
And for accuracy is too, I mean, you know.
I snap it so hard you can actually see where I've glued my rod back together, where I've broken in a tournament this year. I put in so much torque against each hand, you know, just throw my bait off. But what you want to do is you want to snap it. Use both hands and snap that rod as hard as you can snap it. And I can cast twice as far with 2 hands than I can with one. That's another thing, when you bring it back, especially when you're fishing with a lot of people in the boat, bring it back, stop the bait, and then throw. Make sure you're not going to hook anybody. If you can get it like this here, snap it. I just cast 100 yards down the shore, no problem.
Yeah, we put the power pole down there because we saw a few baits moving along. We've caught 2 or 3 flounders and a trout or 2 and a redfish now at this spot.
Caught an inshore slam off this one spot.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And that's another thing about our backwaters and up these rivers. It's just, there's no telling what you can catch.
You know, we're not fishing, when you're in the rivers like this, you're not fishing much current. If it is, it's a wind-generated current where it's just more than anything anyway. There's really just not a lot of current, so the fish are just milling around. They're not really having to fight a current, and they're not having to go anywhere. So there's fish laying all around along the shorelines, out off the shorelines, out into the middle of these bays and whatnot. And the biggest thing is just slow down and take your time. If you see any presence of, you know, what looks like there might be some game fish there, we stopped on this shoreline because of we saw those little pogies, which you saw earlier in the show, popping up everywhere, and just occasionally, every 5 minutes or so, somewhere in this area within 50 yards of us, you'll see a blow up, just a small blow up. Could be a bluefish, it could be a redfish, could be a trout, but it's game fish anyway. You know, it's not bait fish. So, you know, we've been periodically every 100 yards or so just putting the power pole down and just fan casting an area several times over. And just about every stop we've made, we've been able to catch some fish off from now. He jumped 3 or 4 times with the boat, just a little 14-incher. Pretty little guy. Right now, this year, and they could change at any given time, so you need to check on the website before you go for the Division of Marine Fisheries for North Carolina. But right now, the size limit is 12 inches minimum. There's no maximum, 12 inches minimum in the whole state, and you're allowed 10 per day per person.
All right, folks, we're moving from spot to spot, and we're just idling through and started seeing a bunch of shrimp showers. So Jess broke out the cast net. We're going to catch some for dinner. The laws on shrimp are 100 per person per boat. So if this was open water, you could catch all you want with a cast net, but seeing how this is closed water, all we can have is 100 shrimp apiece.
We got about 400 under the floor, so we're gonna, about 400 there, so we're gonna cull through them and take the biggest ones we can take for dinner and throw the rest back.
All right, folks, we're headed through the no-wake zone here in New Bern right now. We're fished this morning up in the Neuse River, of course. It's about 12:45. We had a pretty good morning this morning. Both of us had inshore slams, caught several trout, reds, flounder. Had a good day on the water.